Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you at M&T Bank Stadium as the Saints coming off of their first preseason game, a loss 30-27. And I know you really pinpointed the injuries as being a major deal. Brendan Browner, Delvin Breaux, Donnell Ellerbe, and a handful of others. That was your biggest takeaway from it. How much do you think, we don't know the extent, but
that's the key.
How much is this something the Saints are totally going to be keying in on after this game?
Well, Larry, this defense is already thin. I mean, they're overhauled up front, and they playing a lot of young guys up front. They were going to rely on their back end, I think, to carry the day until this front seven kind of came around to some of these young guys got their feet under them. And now you potentially lose your second and third corner right off the bat. Now, we don't know how hurt they are. They may be back for the next game for all we know. But we do know they can't afford to lose Brandon Browner and Delvin Breaux for any significant period of time, because those are two guys they're counting on. Those were the two guys that are going to replace Patrick Robinson and Corey White. And we all thought, boy, they've got that part of their defense settled. And now they're kind of back to square one. So we'll see. But certainly a concern.
Absolutely. And to me, I know it's first preseason game, and you're expecting some hiccups here and there, but I think it's fair to say that you and I probably feel the same way. They needed a better impression. Forget about what happened at the end of the game. Right. That's just third or fourth teamers, guys who probably won't make the team. You look at the way the first team defense played, and even though Drew Brees wasn't in there, the first team offense played, and really they came out stumbling out the blocks, and it doesn't seem like to me that's the impression they wanted to give off at all. And I know Sean Payton was calm after the game with his press conference, but look, it's an off season full of we can't be that team, we can't be that team, and they just came out and to me looked sleepy, looked flat, and something that they need to shape up.
Right, and they got beaten along both lines, and it's exactly what happened to them last year when they played this team.
Right.
We know the Ravens were one of the most physical teams in the league, but boy, the defensive front seven didn't make a play in the first 3 or 4 series. I think the Ravens scored 20 points in their first 4 series, scored all 4 times they had the ball. I mean, you want to see something, just something to hang your hat on, and I don't think we saw anything early on from the regulars.
I'm hanging my hat on a Cam Jordan pass rush, and he forced Flacco to actually throw an incomplete pass. Seriously, that's what I hung my hat on.
We're throwing a party to pressure.
Like, it's crazy, but yeah, you and look, you got some guys who are inexperienced guys. You had Kakaha starting, you had Anthony starting. Look, you had Bobby Richardson starting. Akeem Hicks didn't play, and yet you wanted to see more. And I think that's something that Sean Payton's going to harp on. And it's interesting, one of the quotes we got from Terrell Suggs basically saying, oh, well, we just kind of walked all over him.
Right.
And I think that's something that Sean Payton better show these guys. Look, they went in there, they weren't playing with their full deck, and they just thought it was a cakewalk.
Right, and we're talking about the regulars here.
Right.
I know the Saints rallied late, but that's not what the lingering memory from this game will be for either of us.
No.
And I think most Saints fans who I think were really excited to see what this new iteration of the Saints was going to look like, and they had to be disillusioned by what they saw. Now, the silver lining, I saw a few bright spots. I thought those 2 young kickers kicked well. I mean, Hawker missed one, but after that he redeemed himself, kicked a 50-yarder. Those guys kicked as well as they did over at the Greenbrier. So I think that's something you can say was a bright spot. And I thought the 2 young quarterbacks, Griffin and Grayson, had their moments late and showed poise more than anything else. So at least some things to build on.
But unfortunately, those are the guys that if they ever play in the regular season, the Saints are in trouble. So that's why we're harping on what we saw really in the first quarter and a half, where really the only thing that stood out is they made a nice play call and Brandon Cooks slices and dices and gets in for a touchdown.
Right.
Because before that, we were going to be celebrating an almost touchdown that he stepped out of bounds. I mean, that was like what we were leaning on.
That's how desperate we were for positive plays.
Exactly. So yeah, not a good first impression. They certainly need to come back, and they will have tons of time and tons of opposition as they go back to West Virginia. New England comes to town, and then they play New England in the Superdome. So that ought to get their juices flowing.
Lots of stuff for Sean Payton and his staff to correct. And those coaches love to talk about that. lots of stuff on film for them to work with.
Well, he's not lying after this one. So, Jeff, Duncan, Larry Holt here with you. Thanks for joining us here at NOLA.com.